Morning. Yesterday was my first day of my new job. Get ready with me, because I'm employed now. I could make more working at Costco, but I do have a job now. Isn't that awesome? Yay. I don't even know why I do these videos, because, I don't know. I think you're supposed to I don't know anything. I don't care. Um, but I have watched a couple of videos where people do that, mostly because what they say is so freaking hilarious. Anyway, good news, right? A job. So I'm deaf in my right ear, and then I'm hearing, but hard of hearing, I guess, hard of hearing in my left ear. And I get to work with deaf kids. So I'm a school counselor, or I was, and I I loved the kids. I've like every school I was at, middle school, high school, whatever, loved the kids. It was so great. Sometimes the parents were way awesome too, especially if like they understood, okay, this is one. Especially if they understood like that their child was struggling and just wanted to be on the team of the child and everything. It was so cool. And so, um, um, I don't know. We just have some awesome kids. And sometimes we have some really awesome parents, which gives a lot of hope, right? It gave me hope. So, loved that part. If I could just be critical for a minute, only to inform, not to be a jerk to anybody or anything. Um, Schools are really difficult to work at. The year I was an intern, when I worked at a middle school, I was also sometimes a crossing guard, a lunch lady, because I had my, what is that called? Food handler's permit. I still do. Um, I was a substitute teacher like all the time. And then once a week, I was an actual teacher for like the advisory period, like being a tutor and helping kids um, with their homework and getting caught up and helping them make up work so that they could pass their classes and stuff like that. That was in addition to actually being a counselor, and I was only getting paid half because, I was an intern, all while going to school. And so I couldn't have another job because I also have children. So, um, it was nuts. And that's just been the life of being in education is just being about 5,000 things. And there are lots of reasons for that. Obviously, some people quit and you're just shorthanded. It takes a long time to rehire. A lot of people think, oh, they're not hiring till the next school year. But actually, in the middle of the year, sometimes people just quit, and we need help, but nobody knows. It's a struggle to find people mid-year. Some people just like get sick, whatever, you have to fill in. But also, oops, that's my alarm, sorry. But also, I have like incense because I'm trying to remember my granny, who I'm writing a book about her life. I love her so much. I hope she's with me. I'm like telling her to be with me every single day. Like, please, Granny, I'm so alone in this new job. But anyway, working in education, um, is really challenging. Um, at least in Utah, I'm sure it's great. In some place like New York, they actually train you and give you time and pay you a decent wage. But in Utah, no. So every job I went to, they just kind of were like, well, just let us know if you have a question. Otherwise, they just throw you in the room. with whatever they have going on. And that's not just my experience. Like, obviously, I know a lot of counselors and teachers and stuff, and everybody is already drowning. And so, especially like somebody in power, like the head of your department or something. And so it's not like, and they're not getting paid any more to be the head of the department. And so they never train you. So being a school counselor is hard. In conclusion, um, not just because of the job that you have to do that you don't know how to do. And it's weird because you went to extra education and a master's degree, and somehow they still didn't teach you anything you actually need to know for the job, like how to use a student information system or how to work on schedules and move those around and stuff. Nope, none of that. So, let's do a little extra today just for fun. Let's do a little bit extra. So, yeah, anyway, not that you want to know all the school counseling in stupid Utah, but it's rough. It's rough. Now, I do love the summers off and like more time with my kids, Thanksgiving break, all that stuff. But the funny thing is they work you so hard and you are so panicked all the time. There's like a little lull in like February that's kind of nice, and that's it. Where like maybe between February and March, you're not as busy if you don't have certain duties that make you really scared, like NCAA or as a high school counselor or like sealed by literacy. That's when those ramp up. But if you're just like normal, like me, then it's not too bad around that time. But otherwise, it is go, go, go all the time, which is so miserable that you just kind of collapse during the breaks and you get really, really sick. And of course, like there's a lot of germs in a school, that makes sense. But seriously, you get so sick over breaks. So is it worth it? I don't think so. But everybody's in so much student debt to go and get a degree that doesn't teach you how to do your job that nobody can do anything about it. But anyway, I loved the kids. I especially loved when I would have to deal with someone who maybe got caught for vaping. Sorry, I can't see, so I got to do something else. Maybe a kid got caught for vaping or bringing drugs to school or whatever. And that was kind of like a come to Jesus moment of like, hey, you might have an addiction if it's interfering with your ability to come to school and not break the rules and be safe and attend class and not have to be high in order to like get through the day and stuff. And so because I was a counselor and not like a police officer or, administration, like a principal or vice principal, I could just be like, what is going on in your life right now that is so unbearable that you can't be sober most of the day and you have to use your vape to get through or something like and get them into like addictions counseling with the district and talk to their parents and stuff. It was really like such good conversations about like, yeah, ever since mom died, things have been hard, or my grandma lost her job and now we can't, support ourselves and it's the holidays and stuff. Like they were dealing with some really rough stuff. Sorry, I almost swore there. And I loved those kids. And all of them were so beautiful and resilient despite what their families were doing to them. We're going through a divorce and, they're fighting through us. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. So that was my favorite part of counseling. But my new job, I am not a school counselor. Not exactly. I'm a counselor with the state, which means even less money. And I get to I'm half deaf, right? And so this job really interested me. I get to learn ASL while I do it, so you might see more of that if I ever have time to make videos and stuff. But I go to the two deaf places. I say places because they're not exactly schools. There's one that's a community center type school, the Sanderson Center, and then there's an actual school of the deaf here. And I get to do both. I get to and I'm only working with the teenagers there, which is so awesome. I love teenagers. They're so cool. Um, I think I was just, I mean, I was a complicated teenager for sure because I had a meth mom. Things were hard, but I thought I was a great teenager and I was trying to do my best and I had all these hopes and dreams um and I am right. Like a lot of teenagers, most teenagers I meet are just so brilliant and awesome and kind. So really, really excited. Obviously, I've had a lot of coffee because I'm super nervous and stoked. But what's so cool about this job today, I'm gonna meet the teenagers, by the way, and just introduce myself as the new counselor and everything. Um, and I like know like almost no sign. Like I can be like, I know like well, very little. I know more Spanish than I do ESL, but like I know sign language or I know ASL, and this is my name. Yeah. Um, but yeah, I'll have interpreters and stuff and I'll figure it out eventually. But what's really cool is like most of my office that I work with, they don't handle deaf teenagers, they handle other types of people. But they a lot of them are disabled themselves or they're part of minority groups in U what would be a minority group in Utah. Um And if they feel okay to be themselves and if they are happy-ish, I mean, and they're not happy for the money, that's for sure. Um, then there's like hope that like this office and these people are safe. And they told me that they want to go really slow and train me well, which I think is really touching. That is not my experience with education. They will throw you in a room the first day and just be like, please, please just watch the kids. We just need an adult body in there. Just make sure they don't die. And it's like, okay. And you like know nothing. You have literally no curriculum, nothing. They're just like, please get in a room. So, it's nice that they're like, no, we want to take the time and do it right. That's so cool. When in reality, like they don't have a lot of money and they're probably strapped with all the things they need to do. And yet they are going to do it right and take the time. And I wish that was how it was in education, but I think it's just kind of like 9 months of absolute go, go, go. And so you just get in there and you have Disneyland long lines of schedule changes to the point that you can't even use the bathroom. You're so inundated by people and they're all upset and there's no training to help you make those schedule changes or anything, and you just do your best and deal with the mess and everything. It's bad. But I love people and I want to support them. And I do think that I'll learn a lot about myself through having to serve these kids, like about the deaf community and about advocating for yourself as a disabled person and stuff. Um, so weirdly, like, yes, I will be serving other people, but the odd thing is that in the service, I feel like I will be learning myself, like, and that's how it's always been. It's weird. Like they say there's this saying that the person who learns the most in the classroom is actually the teacher. And and if you think about it, that's probably true because the teacher has to repeat their my husband's a teacher, so that's why I say this. They have to repeat their lesson like so many times, and while they're repeating it, they're like, you know what, why is that the way it is? And so, sorry, I'm being so chatty, but but maybe you're like bored and you want to hear someone talking, that little like feminine chatter of like, oh my gosh, I have a new job, let me tell you everything. But um I really do think that sometimes like the person who learns the most is like the the person who's like maybe doing the service or having to teach the principal. My best friend is a therapist for like recently incarcerated folk and recidivists and stuff like that. And she says that'll often like the lessons that they have to teach about like Rosie, they have to teach about like emotions and like what you're going through and everything. um, are often things that she's like, well, I need this today. And she's a therapist with a master's degree and she has never been incarcerated. Hi, baby. You want to say hi to the camera? Yeah. Oh, it's Rosie. It's Rosie. It's Rosie. Don't drink coffee. Um, so yeah, sometimes she'll just be like, wow, that lesson was for me. Oh, Rosie, that lesson was for me. A pretty girl. How's a pretty girl doing? Yeah, were you bored in there? So, thanks for listening to me chatter. This is how I get ready, I guess. Hi, Rosie. Um, I don't know. Anything could be horrible. There could be office politics that I never seem to pick up cues on or understand, and then end up regretting later because I just kind of keep to myself and don't read other people, and then it goes bad. But I don't know, like a lot of people who can't hear well, they just kind of are just in their own little world. Like, obviously, they don't know if there's any noise, and they just kind of probably assume that if somebody needed to talk to them about something or include them in something, they would tap them or wave and try to get their attention. And otherwise, they're just gonna keep working, keep their business going and everything. And that's how I feel, at least. And people think that like maybe I'm rude or like I hate them or I'm ignoring them or I'm snooty or something. It's like, it's so funny. Like all the comments that I've gotten for being deaf, it's so funny. Like there was this Soft White Underbelly interview that I did, my first one. And I was really self-conscious about my hair because I live in like a desert, so my hair can go straight in the desert, right? And then in California, my hair was like so frizzy and I couldn't tame it because it's naturally very curly and when there's humidity it wants to curl. So I'm like super um self-conscious. It's my first time being on like really big podcast or YouTube whatever. And I'd never met the interviewer before either, and so I was nervous. And when you don't know an interviewer or like a person or something, and there's background noise especially, um, it's really hard to hear them. Everybody has a different like basically like an accent and a tone and everything that you have to learn. And so um I'm deaf in my right ear, so I'll like tilt my head up, tilt my head to the side to hear better. Even with hearing aids, I still do that. And everybody was like, she's fawning. Look at her. She's tilting her head while talking to him and everything. And I'm like, dude, that guy is old enough to be my grandpa. What are you talking about? And then I mean, he's the best looking grandpa I've ever seen, but like as far as like being in shape and like he does not look his age at all. But I was like, I'm married and I'm not fawning on somebody who lives in another state who could be my, oh, well, I guess he could probably be my father, not my grandpa. I don't know. But anyway, I was like, I was not hitting on him. I just can't hear. Because when you're interviewing with him, is the camera is right over his mouth, so I can't read his lips. And usually that's how I handle things. You know what? I think I need a little more mascara. That's usually how I um manage my bad hearing is I read lips. I've done that all my life. I didn't know other people didn't do it until I was like married and my husband was like, "Wait, you can read lips?" And I was like, "You can't?" Huh? And then so like I had to hear better. And then I was also like, I hate my hair. I hate my hair. I'm so scared. And they're all like, look, she's hitting on him. And I was like, what? What are you talking about? Anyway, I'm gonna go get a suit on. I really need to go soon. So much coffee. Oh, Rosie. Mm. But it is winter over here because it's December 2nd. And so I wear long johns, sexy long johns, under all of my stuff because I am freezing all the time. Highly recommend if you're somebody who's naturally cold like me. I don't stop wearing long johns until like May. Now I live in the mountains, so it's kind of cold anyway. Um, so it might be different, but holy cow, long johns are the best. Um, Especially when you can put your socks right over. Uh-huh. Now, after this, I'm also gonna go and volunteer and talk to, so my best friend, like I told you, is a therapist for um, recidivists, and they are doing like community groups and stuff like that in order to, hi Rosie, in order to reform. And I'm gonna go talk to them. Um, since there's not much else you can do sometimes, um, with, what happened in your life. Oh, by the way, this is the coat I'm gonna wear, just like an oversized, almost like man's coat kind of thing. So cute. Um, I'm going to talk to them about, since you can't change what happened, yes, you did, um, you did like rose perfume. You did like commit a felony or something. Um, I know. It's getting to my nose too, this incense. Um, since you can't change that, can you um basically like do something with it to make it um benefit others? So, like, can you make art out of your pain? Basically what my foster mom told me when I was young. Um, can you turn the stumbling block into a stepping stone? Now, I hated when people said that to me because it puts a burden on a victim, of in my case, abuse, but sometimes people have mental disorders and um you're supposed to find meaning in it. You're supposed to like bless other people with your discovery and all that stuff. And I don't think you necessarily owe the world that if you've been hurt. But um if you want to, if that's your thing, if you choose to, I'm just gonna wear these boots because I want to look tall and powerful. If you want to, and if you choose to, you can turn it into a story or whatever. What's interesting about that though is me getting on podcasts and stuff. Um, I can get like a little flippant, and like I did here, I was just talking and talking. People don't appreciate private information out, even if you give very little, or even if you tell a story where they're the best, and then you share like one or two things where they were kind of human, and they were way more human than that, but you made sure to just kind of like only make it like whatever it needed to be for the story and make it very minimal and everything. They still don't like that. And I think what I'm learning anyway is you probably should only talk about your own faults. And I know that generally, especially when trying to like teach or correct someone, you just say, "Oh, I struggle with this." And you know that they're struggling with this, and so you just try to, you know, whatever. But in my case, I didn't use their names, but I still like they did not appreciate how flippant or rude I was bringing up any of it. So, um, yeah, maybe learn from my freaking mistakes. I just thought they'd be like, "Oh, we're all human." Nope. No, they were not. So that was complicated. I'm gonna change out of frame here. Ah, but yeah, just learn from me, I guess. Try to. If I guess I could have done better, but at the same time, how do I tell the story of like I lost my faith and then got divorced or something? I don't know. without saying like, why would you divorce this person? Well, I don't know how you would say it otherwise. It's a story of two people and anyway. Also they think anyway, never mind. I'm not even gonna go into it. But um we can always do better, right? That's all I can do. But yeah, the community has kind of like wanted to shun me a bit. And I almost spent Thanksgiving alone because of that. But my husband's mother, even though she has so much going on and has to take care of a million people, she's still like in her daily life. Maybe I'll tuck it into my long johns. I don't know. Um, she still made the Thanksgiving dinner, which I don't know how. I can't do that. Okay. I know this looks stupid, but I'm gonna pull the pants over the long johns, I swear. I know it looks stupid. Shut up. I know. Shut your mouth for 1 second. I'm gonna try here, okay? Anyway, I'm gonna go over to the deaf center and then I gotta race down to like an hour just to talk to some people about hopefully making their the worst part of their lives, just creating fossils from it and trying to warn and help others. But anyway, yes, wish me luck if you've made it this far. You're more invested than I am in myself. Just kidding, but kind of close. Um, Maybe one day I will make a lot of money, but it is not today. Not even close. Not even close. If I thought being a school counselor wasn't enough money, like I am in for a rude awakening. It can get worse, but I will learn a lot, I think. Uh-oh. Don't you hate this when there's like a freaking tag and it's worse when you try to cut it off? But my greatest fantasy of all time is to have enough money, I don't know how that would happen, book sales or whatever, to have enough money, to pay back all of the people who helped me, like all of those people, um, like my foster family, um, I want to pay them all back. Or like my ex-husband even being kind of nice. Um, it's just like my greatest fantasy, but it won't be today. It won't be this job, but it would be awesome if I could just someday do that. My husband thinks I'm insane for that. Anyway, wish me luck. Thanks for watching all of this.